Hello and welcome back to Sea Red UK, where quite simply, it's a Chicago Bulls thing. This podcast is part of the Fans First Sports Network, so wherever you're listening, rate, review, subscribe, helps us out and ensures you don't miss another episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the bell, give us a thumbs up, and leave some comments down below. I'm Matt, and as usual, joined by Neill. How are we doing, Neill?
I'm pretty good. Now that we got going, we had a bit of a technical issue before we started tonight. You decided to start faffing around with a microphone, and we got there in the end. So let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, we started about 2 hours ago, and we're just
feels like it.
So, yeah, obviously, as always, we start with the latest Bulls news, and the latest Bulls news is Media Day.
Absolutely.
So that's where we'll start. Now, obviously, we were kind of in and out of the sort of press conferences and stuff last night, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Through work, and you've been busy. Yeah. Obviously, listened back to some of it today, picked up a lot of what was said. So I'll throw it to you for what you sort of picked out from it.
Yeah, because I actually sat down and worked my way through all of it today. So I tried to take a few kind of pointers from each of the presses, and we'll go over them. So I suppose the first one and the best one to start with is Arturas and Billy. So we got a lot of the usual kind of lip service and what you'd kind of expect from a lot of media day presses, particularly from Arturas and Billy. The usual wanting to change the shot profile, play faster, move the ball better. But the thing they kind of came back to was about the team working in cohesion, like being more of a team. And Arturas stated Nashville and the training camp down there as the big opportunity to do that. He did also kind of lean on the fact that they have spent more time together during the off season, during the summer. A lot of them have kind of been in each other's company and tried to kind of build more of a team feel between them. So that's something that he's obviously impressed with and happy to see. He also mentioned that even though very few changes had been made, that what they were trying to bring in was physicality and toughness, and that he felt that had been upgraded through the signing of Craig and Carter, which, I mean, I tend to agree with. We've spoken about that ourselves. And I guess it's like we said before, they've tried to bring in a little bit of what they lost with Lonzo, almost across two players, which does plug the gap a little bit, I think. We won't really know how much it's going to work until we start seeing them play, I guess. But I think it's a step in the right direction with the limitations that were on them. And as we've spoken about during the off season, AK went on to say about his faith in this group, which we knew we were going to hear again. I mean, it's the definition of continuity, isn't it? And he also expressed his faith in Billy as an independent point. So I guess he's got a way of saying to everybody, Billy's not going anywhere. He's not going to be fired. He's here for the long haul, as well as this group are. He was questioned about Demar and his extension talks. He said he wouldn't go into anything, but they absolutely love Demar, and Demar loves being in Chicago, and the extension talks were ongoing, so he wasn't going to comment any further. I mean, by the way, feel free to jump in on anything that you want to kind of throw your tuppence at, because there's a lot to go through, Matt, and you'll probably end up forgetting what you want to say otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, with the sort of AK one, like you said, we knew what was coming. We knew what was going to get said. To be honest, there was nothing new to take from AK, what he said. Don't help the fact that they said most of it on 670, the score last week as well.
True. Yeah, it was kind of a reiteration of a lot of that.
Yeah, so to me, I don't get excited by AK and Billy talking. Like in terms of media day, it's more what the players have got to say, because I think you get a look into their mindset going into it. We know what AK's mindset is. It's run it back. We know he's going to say, He's got faith in Billy. He's confident in this group. All the usual, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I do think that this year having the Lonzo situation sorted has definitely helped, and obviously that took a lot of them sort of questions away from him. It's now we've focused on what we need to do, and it was like say, shot profile. Making the offense faster was another thing that they kept saying on it.
Yep.
I quite like the way Billy talks as well. I think I don't particularly like the way he coaches, but he seems to be able to talk a good game. So,
right.
Yeah. To be fair, I was a bit in and out of their press conference anyway because I was at work while theirs was on.
Yeah.
But I kind of got the gist of where it was going with how it started. So
yeah, it was pretty much what we expected. I mean, they did go on to talk about a few other points. I mean, they were quizzed on the point guard position, and they said that it was open for competition and won't necessarily be locked in for the season either. So it's not just a case of once they've locked in on a point guard for the start of the season that necessarily is going to remain the case for the entire season. And Billy even mentioned the fact that it may be, which I know you've brought up before in the past, it may be depending on the competition that you're playing against. It may be, matchup dependent. And like Big Dave used to always say there a couple of seasons ago, Billy Donovan isn't beholden to any lineup, and he's basically said that there himself by basically saying that he's not locked in. He even went on to say that starters, in regards to who's going to start and who's going to come off the bench, that people focus on that way too much, which is another thing that you've said in the past as well. It's not that important who starts the game. It's more important about how they are used when they come on to the court and using the right players correctly and effectively. Just because someone doesn't start the game doesn't mean that they aren't going to be the best closeout or the best finisher for the team. It all depends on what's going on in the game, and that's down to Billy to make those choices and to shuffle around the players to fit the games and to fit the situation that they're in.
Yeah, I did notice that Billy said something about P. Will in the sense that they've tried. Do you know what I mean? And the best decision was to take him out of that starting lineup and limit what he was doing and stuff like that, which obviously we're going to get into P. Will later on anyway, but I thought that was quite interesting as well, to be fair.
And he said that, and he mentioned as well the fact that he wants the starting four to be P. Will, but he's not guaranteeing that it will be.
Yeah. And I think it was on Bulls Talk, because obviously they did their little bit after the main media thing as well.
Yeah.
And it was Will Perdue that said on the podcast that's come out today about the end of the day when Billy's 75, all he's got to sit back on is a win-loss record.
Yeah.
And it's not what ifs, ifs and buts. And I can't remember what he said, something about Christmas and nuts and.
Yeah, and he also said at that stage he can't affect it. He can't go back and change it. At that stage, he just has to sit there and like it or lump it. So it's on Billy to increase his wins and kind of try and stagnate his losses so that there is an imbalance there in his favour.
Yeah. So I mean, look, media day is all about sort of building that excitement, and it's the end of the off season as such.
Yeah.
And you know that you're going to get the same textbook answers, media answers, and to me, I mean, obviously, I'm sure we'll get into it as we go on, but it's the behind the scenes sort of videos that come out, and the presses are what they are. I like to hear more from the players, and because I think you see their personalities.
I'm really glad I didn't spend all day listening to the presses and taking notes. Then. Thanks, guys.
I mean, that's it. You know what you're getting from AK, and
you do.
We pretty much summed that on Twitter yesterday when I put the post out about it being media day. Everyone pretty much chimed in with what AK was going to say. So
Exactly. And there were two other points that I took from it. I'll go over quickly because one of them is one of those absolute textbook expected answers, and that was about the Reinsdorfs and going into luxury tax spending. And his answer to them wasn't a no, but it wasn't a yes either. Again, it was pretty much the same thing as last year. Was that he's spoken to them both, and they've agreed that they will be prepared to pay into the luxury tax if they can show consistent success. But it's this whole what comes first, the egg or the chicken, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because how do you get success if you don't invest in the team, and yet you won't invest in the team in order to get that success in the first place? So what are you going to do? You're kind of stuck in the middle, which is exactly where the Bulls have been for so long.
Unfortunately.
The one thing I did find interesting, though, and it was kind of the most interesting point I took out of it, was when Billy was asked about kind of like a game plan going into this season. He said that he wants them playing into the paint more to increase free throw opportunities and offensive rebound chances. He wasn't necessarily pushing for just jacking up a load of threes, right? Which is kind of the way a lot of people are pushing them. Just throw up the threes, I mean, there's no guarantee just because you throw up another 10 threes that you're still going to hit 50% or 48%. Yeah. That's not necessarily going to be the case. You could jack up an extra 10 3-point attempts and miss 7 of them, and that brings your averages right down, your percentages right down. So I like that he said this, moving the ball into the paint to increase free throw opportunities, because they were I think they had one of the highest percentages of free throws made, but also one of the lowest percentages of free throws attempted last season. So that's obviously, as he said, you get more opportunities of getting a whistle if you're in the paint than you are if you're throwing the ball up from further away, because you've got less action, less interaction. So I like that. And also the fact that he said, it increases offensive rebound chances. We know offensively on the boards, we're not great. Defensively is a different story. We've spoken about this ourselves, but offensively, not so good. And a lot of that is because the ball is being put up into the air, and there's nobody around the rim in order to get in a position to get those offensive rebounds. So the fact that he's looking at that, again, that's something that I like. And he also mentioned that that's the way he wants to look for the 3-point attempts. So it's what we've been harping on about for the last, 2 or 3 years. Get the ball into Vooch or whoever's in the middle, let the defense close in and kick the ball out to a shooter. But you need the shooter to shoot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and not just anybody throwing up threes either.
No.
Because we've seen how that goes.
Exactly.
Alex Caruso with a big fat 0.
Yeah. I'm sure they've all been working very hard on their 3-point shot all off season, though.
Which is what everybody wants to see.
There you go. Especially in an empty gym with no NBA competition.
Exactly. And we're not going to see that anymore because training camp has started.
Exactly. Now. it's all done now. So I'm not necessarily going to do these in order, because basically I kind of watched them in the order at which I was more interested, if I'm honest. So the next one,
throw me all over them.
Brilliant, excellent. Keep you on your toes.
Yeah, exactly.
The amount of times you've done that to me, revenge is sweet. So the next one I listened to was Demar. Okay,
good place to start.
It is a good place to start. So basically, the first thing that was put to Demar was about the improvement in the East and the moves that were made by Boston and by oh Jesus, why can't I think of it? Who got Milwaukee? There we go. I should be able to think of it. Milwaukee Bucks getting Dame. So anyway, it's been a long day. So he was asked to address that situation, and straight off the bat, he was ready for it. He goes, "I love it. I love it." So I love the idea of a more competitive East. It means that the team and himself have to play harder. They have to step up to the competition, and he thinks it's better for the ball club, it's better for the East, and it's better for basketball in general. And I tend to agree with him. It does mean that you have to elevate your game more. And, if you're a competitive sports person earning the kind of bucks that they're earning, you do expect them to step up. I know. Yeah. Go and see him play, Borderline Bucks fan.
New nickname.
No. No.
Gary.
Anyway. So moved on then, as I'm going to, with the 3-point shooting. And he said, everybody's at him about 3-point shooting. Is he going to add that to his game? Is it something he's been working on? And look, we all know, we've spoken about this as well, Demar can shoot the three. He just doesn't shoot it that often. And he shoots it at a reasonable clip when he does shoot it. His percentages aren't bad. And his answer was 3-point shooting will come. He goes, whatever is needed, he's going to be able to do it. So if he needs to shoot the 3 ball, he'll shoot the 3 ball. If he doesn't need to shoot the 3 ball, well, you're going to find him. You're going to find him just outside the paint, on the elbow, pump faking, right? That's where you're going to find him. Standard. But we all know that in a clutch situation, if you need a 3, it's more than likely going to be in Demar's hand, not in Zach's hands or Vucevic's hands or anybody else's. It's more than likely going to be in Demar's. And he's not afraid to take the 3. And I like the fact that he was like, look, guys, I can do it. And if I need to do it, I will do it. But do I have to do it?
Yeah. Well, I can't remember if it was in his presser or, again, talking to Bulls Talk or whatever afterwards. But he said, I could hit 9 threes and it means more to you lot than it means to me.
Yeah.
And, so that just sort of sums it up, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's everybody says he needs to be doing it, but he says, I'll do it if I need to.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that's kind of what we've been saying about him, innit? Is, do you want Demar to become somebody who, basically, to me, if you're making Demar a 3-point shooter, the ball's going to be in his hands even more.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want that. And you're going to make him think about what he's doing, which slows everything down even more because he's thinking, well, shall I get there, or shall I take a step back, or shall I pass it, or what? And by that point, he's already 20 seconds with the ball in his hand. And so I mean, I know with Demar, he was asked about the Olympics as well.
Yeah, he was. That's the next point I've got, actually.
And and we give textbook answer, what you expect. I've done it before and I'd love to do it again.
Yeah.
But again, that, to me, if he gets, because it's LeBron that's picking the team, if he gets that selection, then, that's good for him because it shows that how highly rated he is by the rest of his players, or the rest of the players in the NBA, should I say. But I mean, the first thing I took away from Demar was the sneakers.
Yes.
The red chai up tempos.
Yeah,
we've seen that he's been working out in the up tempos through the off season in an empty gym against nobody. But obviously he wore them for media day, and I've seen on the training camp pictures so far he's back to the black and white sort of Scottie Pippen ones. And again, I think he's serious when he needs to be in the way he answers stuff, but he also tries to be relaxed about it. And he said, didn't he, at one point, I've been thinking all day what I can say that's funny, but I just can't.
I think it was Casey Johnson then said to him, or maybe it was Sam Smith that said, does that mean that you rehearse your answers, Demar?
I mean, what is it? It's probably his 15th media day now, isn't it? So it's he knows how to play it, and I mean, like I say, good place to start because he was one that I was looking forward to because I just like the way he is with the media, and I
think they enjoy him too.
Yeah, and there's that clip of him on the CHGO. Obviously, they were there.
Yeah.
Shout out to them, where he sort of walks down and he's doing that down him, and it just sums him up. I think that he just loves being there, doesn't he? He just loves the whole. It's the start of the season and getting that sort of vibe, and so
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about a player that still loves the game that much after the career he's had so far.
And loves being in Chicago, where he wants to stay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because obviously he also said he's leaving it to his agent to talk about the extension.
I actually have a quote from him on that one. He was asked about the contract talks, and he goes, "Hey, look, I've got an agent that deals with the contract talks." And he goes, "I basically say for them to talk to him and for him to leave me the hell alone." So he obviously trusts his agent, but he just wants his agent to deal with it all and just basically bring him the contract to sign at the end of it, and he'll go with it. He understands it's a business. I'm sure he tells his agent, "Look, I am really enjoying my time in Chicago. It's my preferred place to stay. You go and work it all out."
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll get something done because
let me concentrate on shooting threes.
Right. Yeah, right. And getting new up tempos. So, like you say, he was quite kind of relaxed and chill and funny at the same time, as Demar tends to be. And when he was asked about the point guard situation, which is something that was brought up with pretty much everybody, the point guard position and how he was like expecting it to go competition wise in regards to the players that are vying for the number one spot as the number one. And I loved his tongue-in-cheek answer. I don't know if you heard it, but he was basically saying, well, look, I want to play in that position too. I'm going to compete with these guys for the point guard position too.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
Yeah. And it also his comment on, I can't remember if it was Torrey Craig or Jevon Carter, where he said, I'm glad that he's on my team because he used to annoy me. And the reason is because he used to wear odd shoes.
Yeah, that's right.
As well as how good he is defensively.
Yeah, he also said he was a dog, which, we've said as well. And he said on Jevon, he's an outstanding competitor who used to get on his nerves because he's such a dog and because he wore odd shoes. But he goes, and he's going to help us in every way. So there you go. So he was asked about summer training as well, as in the Demar summer training, the Demar camp that he does with P. Will and the young guys. And he said that it was tough, but that they made it through. He was also asked who joined him and had Coby joined him. And he said it was on him that Coby hadn't joined him, that Coby had arranged a weekend to come down.
Io that he said that about.
Oh, was it Io? Yeah, no, actually, I have it written here. So I thought I did it. Yeah. It was Io.
Because he was leaving town, wasn't he?
That's right. So he was meant to come down. Sorry, not Coby. Io was meant to come down and join him, but he was actually away. So it was actually his fault that he couldn't come down and train with it. Which is a pity because I think it would have been good for him. And
he didn't feed him either.
Nope. He said they'd sort out their own food. Yeah. So what else did he talk about? He talked about continuity, of course. That swear word that we all like to use from time to time. And his answer was, sometimes you've got to fail as a group. You've got to hit the wall hard with a group to see if you all are going to get up and help one another back up. So I like that. It was real Demar type quote as well. So there we go. And he was also asked about how they expect to compete with everybody else in the East. And his answer was everybody's 0-0. And he's looking forward to the new beginning. That's what he was looking forward to the most. But my favorite quote from the whole thing was he was asked why this year will be different and why it will provide different results than the previous two seasons with the same core three. And quick as you like, because the third time is a charm. And that's exactly what we've named this episode.
Yep, exactly.
So, I enjoyed it. I expected to enjoy it. He's always a fun listen. But we also have a little bit of a clip from him that was not from his presser, but it was from an interview shortly after. I think it may even have been Will Gottlieb that put it up.
Yeah, it's I think it's training camp, innit?
Yeah. But we'll play that towards the end when we're talking about the person that he's talking about.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
remind me to play that because I'll forget. Okay. So anything you want to add about Demar?
No, loved it. Like I say, the main thing I took away was his up tempos, and just
which you couldn't see in the presser because he had him under the table.
Yeah, but there's plenty of pictures going around. If you haven't seen them, go check them out.
Yeah, plenty. So I decided then that the next player I had most interest in listening to was Zach. So first thing that I want to bring up is that they'd obviously been talking, as in Zach and Demar, because when he was asked about this season and the acquisitions that have been made in the East to make them stronger, his answer was 0-0. We're at 0-0, right?
Yeah.
We're all starting the same. It's a fresh start. So it was the exact same response as Demar. So they've obviously sat down over a Gatorade and had that discussion and had it ready to rock.
But they don't like each other.
No, they don't like each other. There's going to be no cohesion in this team whatsoever. You know, they're going to fall apart. Yeah. So he was asked then about the Bulls acquisitions. He was asked about Jevon more so. In fact, I found Torrey Craig wasn't really mentioned too much in any of the player interviews compared to Jevon Carter. I also found that Torrey Craig was brought up a little bit more so with AK and Billy, but not with anyone else. So I found that kind of interesting enough. But
yeah, there don't seem to be many pictures of Torrey Craig either. I've seen.
No. Now, whether that's because they're not trying to sell him too much because they want to keep P. Will as the golden child at the fore, I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure if he starts playing well, it'll be a different story. So anyway, Jevon Carter was brought up to Zach, and he said that he's a real competitor and looking forward to play with him. Real textbook stuff. Asking about how he was going to use his time to make the team do something different this year and what he expected. He said that they were looking to play more up-pace basketball. So it comes back to that higher tempo, kind of like they did with Lonzo. It was quick transition offense, getting back on defense, locking it down, high up, and then going again. He said they're going to play to their strengths, which, again, I mean, Zach was more textbook than Demar was, but it's what you'd expect him to say. He also said that it's up to himself and Demar to create better shots for themselves and for their teammates, which I'm not so sure that I like that one so much, because if that's the case, that sounds like it's an absolute carbon copy of what we've already been looking at, which is either himself or Demar holding the ball at the top of the arc and deciding whether, Demar's going to bring it in and go ISO, or whether Zach's going to either drive or pull up and shoot. I don't want to see more of that. I want to see the ball in Jevon Carter's hands or Coby White's hands or AC's hands and moving the ball around, creating a better shot opportunity. Putting the ball in deep to Vooch, like we said, and getting the kick out that way. I mean, we all know that catch and shoot Zach is the best Zach, or catch and drive Zach is the best Zach. And, bringing the ball up Zach is not the one for me. So yeah. I'm hoping that's not what he's getting at with that one.
Yeah.
He was asked about Io. And his reply was, he's a great man, hard worker, injects a lot of energy, and they worked out together for a couple of days in California. So I hadn't been aware of that. So that was interesting to know that he's, making those connections with Io. It's good to see. It's good for Io as well, because I think Io could learn an awful lot from Zach. And with him being the hometown kid, well, I know he shares that accolade with Jevon now, but being the hometown kid who is expected to go back to what he was in first season, hopefully, he'll learn how to bounce back and that from talking to Zach, because obviously Zach has had to recreate himself a few times. He also said it was good to have a full off season without having to rehab. So that when he comes into the season now, all he needs to do is step on the gas and go.
Yeah.
Which fully agree with, totally understand. He said instead of adding to his game, because he was asked about, how most players go off and they add something more to their game every off season. His point was that he'd sharpened his knife and mastered his craft more in the off season. He'd shot a lot of threes and worked on his finishing. So, I mean, that's exactly what we want to see from Zach. So, yeah, it's just more of the same, but if he's got better at it, I'm all on for that. Reiterated the aim to get back to the playoffs. Yeah, yada, yada. We all know that. We want to see more. We want you to start winning games in the playoffs. We want you to climb up the ladder. That's my point on that. Anyway, I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, that's it, innit? We want playoff basketball, and to get it, you've got to get better in the regular season as well. So
right, exactly. What else have I got? Yeah, so he basically ended it all with his quote. The best quote to take out of it from Zach was, "It's time to put pen to paper and see some results," which is hard to disagree with. I mean, you can talk a good game all you want, unless you're actually going to put it on the floor, it ain't going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I took from Zach's, as expected, he was asked about the trade, constant trade rumours, and he said, "I've been traded before. It's business. I don't listen to it. Some I believe, some I don't, but it's not come from my camp." So
yeah,
pretty standard response, I guess. And he did say, obviously, he committed to the Bulls when he signed on the dotted line.
He did,
and he's committed until the day he leaves, basically. So
yeah, he signed a 4-year deal, and he expects to play to the end of his contract. So he's not going to think of it any other way. So that was it really from Zach. The rest of the interviews were a bit shorter after that. Apart from Vucevic was a little bit longer. So I was curious then. I let my curiosity get the better of me, and I went to Lonzo. It was pretty standard stuff. I mean, I think he was only there. I'd say he requested to be there, or his agent requested for him to be there. Kind of like he did with Stephen A. Smith, proved a point. I'm still here, and I still have a place in this squad. I think it was a little bit of that, to be honest with you. Which, look, you can't blame him for. I'm sure he's in some sort of a headspace, and he's trying to get himself on the right side of that. And maybe this was part of that for him, which I can kind of fully understand. So he basically, I'll go through this quickly. He basically said he's halfway through rehab, is progressing well, taking it day by day, and he's getting better each week with no set timeline. But he has been given the whole year to get ready for next season. So he'll be splitting his time between LA and Chicago in order to do that. He was asked what he misses the most or what's the hardest thing for him. And he says he just misses playing. It's a big part of his life that's gone. And he wants to get it back. The only thing that I did enjoy out of it was at the very, very end, Drummond came in and picked up a mic to ask him a question. I said, basically, hey, Lonzo, how are you feeling? You feeling healthy? And he was like, Drummond, you're too late. We've done that already. He just gets up and he walks away. So that was good fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see him there. Yeah, he seems like he's in a good headspace, which is a good thing. And it's good to see him around the team. But if he comes back, he comes back. If he don't, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised, are they? So
no.
But what we do know
Lonzo,
is,
maybe.
what we do know is that he's not back this season. So move on.
And I think apart from him turning out and being there, everybody seems to have accepted that fact, even himself. They've all kind of gone, look, it's done. We have a year to not have to worry about it. We have a year to not be answering questions about it. We've put a timeline on it, and it doesn't affect this season.
Yeah.
So I like that it's put to bed now. They can refocus themselves on a full season without Lonzo and deal with anything else after that. Okay, so then I went to Vooch. He's very excited about the contract. There's a lot of work undone, which is part of the reason why he decided to stay with the Chicago Bulls. He thinks that the team has a lot more to show and improve on. And also it created stability for his family, who've said that they like living in Chicago. talked about the World Cup, said it was great for his country, for Montenegro. It was a great personal experience, but also said that he doesn't expect to be used the same way as Montenegro used him for the Chicago Bulls, because it's the different game in the NBA, and FIBA is much slower, and therefore he would expect to be utilized differently in the NBA anyway, which is quite a realistic way of looking at it. He said he talked with Billy about utilizing him more, not just with scoring, but he came back to it a few times talking about his playmaking, which is something that you and I have harped on about for the last couple of years. And it was also about finding balance between his 3-point game and his inside game, basically. Yeah. Now, he did talk for a long time. I didn't take too many notes out of it. I just kind of took the main points out of it, really. A lot of it was kind of going around in circles, plus he's quite a slow talker.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add on Vooch? Did you watch it?
No, to be honest, he's one that I didn't see.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of what he said, and I think it's, again, he speaks well, and I think you could get a sense of his frustration.
Yeah, I think so too.
How he was used, and we've already heard him say that it's pretty much last chance with this 3, and I think he's kind of backed that up with a lot of what he said. So
yeah. So Jevon Carter then was the next one I went to, which I know this is going to be one that you're interested in. His first point that he made was that putting on the uniform to him was very special, and it was a childhood dream. That he would only have dreamt of being able to wear a Chicago Bulls jersey and play for the Chicago Bulls when he was a kid. He said what he brings to the table is really going to help the team both on and off the court, which, yes, that's what we need, definitely. And probably your favorite quote and mine was when he was asked about his thoughts on Milwaukee and Boston. His answer, ready to go, was, I don't really care, I'm a Chicago Bull.
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to talk about other teams for?
Yeah.
In the story. Loved it. Loved the way he shot it down. It was just like, I'm not interested in that rubbish. This is it for me now.
Yeah.
What I found really interesting was there was a question asked him or put to him. I can't remember who asked him now, but when he was playing against the Bulls, what did he think of the Bulls? And he said that this team are reluctant to shoot, and they think about it too much instead of just taking what's there, which is absolutely what we've all been saying, not just us, but across Bulls Nation. Just shoot the ball. This catching it, being open, and then passing it to somebody else because you're reluctant to take the shot. Obviously, Jevon is not happy with that situation and will be trying to correct it somehow, some way. But he did also go on to say that he absolutely loved their defense and the tenacity that they have on defense, that they don't give up on it.
Yeah.
And we know he is, a great defender. So that's obviously something that he sees himself fitting in with. And also that on-ball defense that we are lacking since Lonzo went down. Okay, we have it with AC, but to have it now in Jevon is great. He said they just need to start playing more free and not hesitate, and everybody needs to start being more aggressive. P. Will. He didn't say P. Will, but we know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He also said he can help by being more vocal, and went back again then to say, guys got to shoot. We can all shoot. Everybody on this team can shoot. They just got to shoot. So, again, it's reiterating what we've been saying. He was asked then about Io and the Chicago connection. And he said that they both play the same way with a chip on their shoulder, which is the Chicago way. And obviously he respects that about Io and expects the same respect back from Io. So we'll see how that pans out. But I can see the two of them getting on quite well. And I can actually see him taking Io under his wing a bit, which could be very beneficial for both the team and for Io.
Yeah.
He also asked how he was going to affect the team. And he said, one player isn't going to change it. It's got to be a team thing. It's a long season and we're going to need threes. So, slightly differently to the way Pat Bev came in, and Pat Bev was like, yeah, I'm going to change it. It's all on me. This is more Jevon kind of coming in and saying, look, we are going to do it as a team and I can help affect that. And I really like that.
Yeah.
He said he's comfortable calling people out. He just needs to learn to find a better way to deliver the message. I had a little chuckle to himself. So I'm not entirely sure what he's referring to, but I'm sure we'll find that out pretty quickly, to be honest. He said he just can't describe what it feels to be a Bull, and he just wants to get out there and play. And now I'm sure you watched this one.
Yeah, I did. Like you said, that quote he made about, he doesn't care. He's a Bull.
Yeah.
Loved it. And I think it was when they asked him about what it feels like to finally pull on the Bulls jersey. It seemed like he was shaking a little bit. Like it was quite, that his excitement was that much that he couldn't hold it in. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to be a fan's favourite. I think he's already, the way he speaks and stuff like that, he's got the fans on his side. And then I think when we actually see him out on the court, he's just going to be, the player that we're all wanting to be, basically. And obviously he did say he would be a vocal leader. Like you said, obviously once he works out how to say it to certain people and stuff like that. I just think he's going to be a very underrated fans' favourite, sort of bit, not quite to the Caruso level, but I think as soon as fans see him out there, his toughness, his blue collar style play, the fact that he can actually hit threes, stuff like that, the fans are going to love him, and I think they're going to constantly get him up on the sort of press conference with the whole being from Chicago and all that sort of stuff. So the more I see of him, the more I hear from him, the more he's becoming my guy.
Yeah, okay. Right. So not even going to get into that. So on to your other guy, Coby.
Froby.
Yes, Froby is back. He did sit down with the big mad afro, sporting it again, which we've always said that he plays better when he has the throw out than when he doesn't. Hence why we say Froby. So the first thing he was hit with was his contract extension. And he said it was just a blessing, and that he was excited to be back in Chicago with the team that drafted him. Kind of went on to say, with all the changes that have happened in the team and across the league, that he considers it a blessing that he's still with the Chicago Bulls when, he didn't say this, but when not many are. In regards to the point guard battle, he said that all he can do is push the pace and play in transition, which is the new plan, fits him, but the decision's not up to him. He's just there to play basketball and do whatever he can for the team to win. And it's just going to be him and continue to play his game and continue to grow. And that he's just going to be him, just going to be Coby.
Yeah. And obviously he was asked a question by P. Will, wasn't he, about his throw.
He was.
And he said it was the way he's vibing and he wants to go back to high school Coby.
Right.
Yeah.
But he did also say that it could change, but at the moment he's feeling the throw. Yeah,
which we're all feeling it. I know I was.
Yeah. It's better look. It suits him.
Yeah.
Plus, when he does that head rock thing to try and sell a foul, it really helps when the throw kind of flops back with it.
Yeah, exactly. So, plus, the thing I took away with Coby is the whole goofball sort of, scaring Zach. He broke the little thumb wrestling thing that he was playing on with Benny. It's just, and I think the thing with Coby is he's settled now. And, obviously him and Zach, I think they've got a bit of an underrated connection. a lot of people don't talk about it. The fact that at the end of the day, they're the only two from the previous regime, and Zach's been there for his whole career. So obviously, Coby's, he obviously looks up to Zach as a bit of a mentor, I think.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't seem to mention. So, but yeah, you've jumped the gun a little bit with the player prediction.
Oh yeah, sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. Sorry, I just realised I wasn't doing the tickers for most of the people we've been talking about. Very professional. So, and then I clicked on the wrong one. Yeah, no, there we go.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I've got nothing else on media day. I don't know if there was any more players you listened to.
No, there was a few more points from Coby. He was concentrating when Johnny dribbled too much, and Demar. This was the quote I liked. He's grown to love the chaos and live the chaos of the unpredictability of his situation. Whatever role I get this year, I hope that remains stable so that I can find that consistency in my game. I just want to grow, continue to get better, and be more consistent. I've been labelled as an up and down player, and I want to change that.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
that's what we all want to see.
Absolutely. So he was obviously quite comfortable pushing his own narrative. And the final point I have on him was that he said he was known as a scorer when he first came into the league. He was the leading scorer in North Carolina history. So he has enjoyed altering his game as a point guard to be more of a leader, more of a vocal guy. It's been great for him. And he wants to continue to fine-tune those things and continue to get better at setting up his teammates.
Yeah.
So become less of a combo guard and more of a point guard, I guess. Yeah.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, well, we'll take it. We'll take anything that means the team improves, right?
Exactly. So yeah, obviously that's it for media day. Obviously training camp has started today. There's obviously bits and pieces coming out as we speak, I think. Photos and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if you've got anything on that before we move on.
No, that's it. I think I've said plenty.
So yeah, before we finish off our player predictions, I will send it to our ad read. Obviously, here at C-Red UK, we are partnered with USA Sports. USA Sports is a UK and European-based sports merchandise retailer. They cover NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB, as well as Formula One. From hats to hoodies, there's something for everyone. From Chicago Bulls to Team Red Bull and everywhere in between. So check them out on all the socials and at usasports.co.uk. And for 15% off, enter the code CREDUK at checkout. So, we went a little bit longer with the media day talk there than I think we anticipated.
Sorry, it took 2 minutes.
And we're going to finish off our player predictions.
Yes.
These are the last 3, so we'll probably get through them a bit quicker than we thought. And the first one is Dalen Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Love the guy. Bundle of energy. He would put a video out of where he was behind Demar, taking the mick out of him and stuff like that at media day yesterday. Obviously last season didn't exactly go to plan for him.
No.
Despite the fact that Bulls fans were calling for him to play. Obviously spent more time with Windy City and sitting on the bench and dancing and stuff like that than actually playing for Bulls, but didn't really have the summer league everybody was expecting either, did he?
No, he didn't. Which
was slightly disappointing. And he is one of them players that everybody says has to improve his shot. His 3-point shot, more so.
Mm-hmm.
And we've discussed him before. I think he's one of them players that he finds a way into the rotation by doing everything else than what people actually want to see him do, which is improve that shot. yes, he's going to need that shot. Everybody needs it these days in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his defense, his passing, his energy, all that's enough to get him in the rotation, as long as it's required, which it obviously wasn't last season, despite the fact it was. But yeah, before I give quick predictions, what's your take on him?
Yeah, love the kid. Absolutely love the kid. Do I love his game? The jury's out. I think that's the hardest thing with DT, isn't it? It's very hard not to enjoy him. He's incredibly infectious. He is, like you say, that big bundle of energy. He's definitely a spark. When he does get the few minutes, he's going to give his all 100% every time he's out there. But if your 100% isn't NBA level, then is it really going to be any good? Now, I hope he's a work in progress. I hope he does improve his game because I see an awful lot of potential and upside there. But it's just so hard to know when he's had so little playing time.
Yeah.
And like you say, Summer League was his chance to impress both fans and the organisation. And I think he slipped up there. He missed a real golden opportunity to do that.
Yeah. I mean, you can't take away his work ethic and stuff like that. And I think his willingness to be an NBA player is what's going to help him as well. Expectation wise, I hope we see him get more minutes, but I don't think we will. I think he spends a bit of time down with Windy City again, and I possibly think Julian Phillips gets more time than him this year because I just think he fills a different need, Phillips, possibly.
Yeah. It doesn't help that he's competing against so many people, I suppose.
Yeah, in the stacked guard room, if he is a guard or if he's a wing or what, nobody knows. So, I mean, grade-wise, I think he'll end up with a D. I don't think we're going to see enough of him.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I'd give him a D for the very same reason. I just don't think he's going to get enough of an opportunity. I'm just hoping he doesn't end up to be, the most expensive lovable in Chicago Bulls history.
Yeah. So, next player, which one we're going with? I'll let you throw it up and.
Oh, we'll go alphabetically.
All right, Coby White. Now, my guy.
Yes. I would say the OG, but he's not even the OG.
Yeah, he's just my guy. One of them. No, I absolutely love Coby. I didn't maybe at the start of last season. I was a little bit maybe on the fence with him, but I was soon smashing that fence down by driving the Coby train last year. I love the way he's, like I say, he's that goofball in around the team, and he just, I don't know. I think he seems a lot more settled now. Obviously, he's got his new deal. Knows what he needs to do. Knows where he needs to be. All that sort of stuff. As much as people say it, he didn't. He did actually improve defensively last season.
He did.
He improved as a player all around, just not statistically. Easy for me to say.
Really.
But at the end of the day, if he can improve them stats this year, and as he said himself, just go back to being a scorer and a consistent scorer as well, then them fans who are still sitting on the fence with him and think that we've wasted the money on him, he'll soon have them loving him again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hopefully the throw is there to stay, because I think that's the best version of Coby. And as I've said all along, I don't want to see him get that starting role as much as I love him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then at the same time, too much gets put on the starters.
As Billy said.
And as I said.
Does that mean that you're agreeing with something that Billy Donovan said?
I said it first. He agreed with me.
he must be listening. Hi, Billy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the situation with me and Coby, I was very reluctant to jump on board the Coby train, and you kept on plugging away at me until I eventually kind of caved in and came down off the fence and said, right, okay, yeah, I see your point. And I did very much see your point by the end of the season. Coby excited me when he first came to the Bulls, and then I rapidly lost interest. But I'm very excited about Coby White again, and his newfound confidence, his newfound defensive playing style that goes along with everything else in his game. The fact that he's putting in so much effort into his handles for the last couple of years. If he can work on his shooting and getting that any bit consistent, because he said it himself, he knows consistency is his big problem. He's renowned as an up and down streaky shooter. If he can get any kind of consistency behind that, we know how hot he can get. So if he can get even close to that on a regular basis, Coby White is going to be part of the future of this team.
Yeah. And I think the fact that he is the second longest tenured player on the Bulls.
Right.
Nobody talks about him being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's something else that he can develop as well, because I think they probably all love him in the locker room, the way he is, his nature. Do you know what I mean? And we saw it at the baseball game with his dancing and stuff like that. If he can maybe convince a few more people that he is serious, then that leadership side of him comes out as well, which could elevate his game that little bit more as well.
Yeah.
He's got to improve his stats this season. Whichever stats you want to look at, whether it's offensive or defensive. And I think he can do it. I think he was the one player that everybody wanted on the court last year. Whether it started off the bench or whatever it was, fans wanted him on the court. And I think that's how it's going to go this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggle what grade to give him, really, because you just don't know what his role's going to be. But going off last season, and I think he improves again, I'm going to give him an A.
Wow.
Told you he's my guy.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going for an A. I'm not quite as high on him. I have him. I just double check to see what I had put down. I have him marked as a B+, which is by no stretch of the imagination a bad grade. It's just not quite as, I suppose, high as yours.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of want him in that 6th man of the year talk, don't you? If he's going to be coming off the bench, and I think that's the sort of season he has to have.
Right. Yeah.
However you want to, but obviously a lot of that goes down to Bulls winning or losing.
So yeah, that's a big part of it. But can I ask you a question actually on the whole like goofball Robin Lopez type role that he has within the team? Do you think that detracts from him as a leader?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's what I mean. Like, if you can get more people in the locker room to take him serious, or the media side of things to take him serious, then I think. But it's a tough one because sometimes, I mean, obviously people aren't going to follow him. They're not going to follow him into scaring Zach and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But if he's obviously a presence in the locker room, and if he can turn that presence into being taken serious on the court as well, then I think Well, I'm not saying he's a leader now, but I think he can progress into at the end of this contract. Basically, I think he could be, because I think he's obviously growing up and he's maturing, so that goofball side of things will probably dwindle a little bit. But I think he'll still always be up for a laugh, which is what I think he'll maybe go a little bit Demar sort of type over the years, where he takes the game that serious, but he still wants to have a laugh with everybody in the locker room and be a leader that way, sort of thing, where people go to him because they want to talk to him and they want to listen to what he's got to say, basically.
Yeah. Not a bad place to be.
Yeah. I could be completely wrong, and he could just stay a goofball and start wrestling like Rolo does.
That too. Taking it on the mascots.
Either way, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right.
So, well,
on to
last
my guy.
one. Yeah, last one. And I've started everyone, so I'll let you start with P. Will.
Yeah, well, like I say, unlike you, who has 10 players that you claim as your guy, I pretty much have one, and that's P. Will. And the scary thing is, I'm still waiting for him to prove me right. But this is going to be the year. It has to be the year, and it's going to be the year. I'm not expecting him to take a massive leap or anything like that, but I do expect him to start becoming the player that he needs to become. I mean, I was listening to Bulls Talk, the Media Day one today, and I think it was Tony Gill that was saying that, like, when P. Will wants to do what he wants to do, the guy's practically unguardable.
Mm.
I mean, he moves like a small guy, and he's built like an absolute tank.
Not so much anymore.
Well, he's thinned down a bit. But he just, I mean, if he really wanted to, and this was the point that was being made, was if he really wanted to, he could strip the glass on the defensive end and run the court practically anytime he wants. And he just doesn't do it. I'm not saying that it's that extreme either, but what I do think is if he exerts himself and acknowledges within himself that he is physically gifted enough, skilled enough to do these things more frequently than he does, then, and he really truly starts to believe it, then maybe he will start to develop into this player that we all hope he can be. Come on, tear him down now. I put him up there. You can tear him down.
No, I'll let you put that video up. That I know you was.
Okay, I will put the video up. All right, 1 second.
Obviously, it is from Demar at training camp from today. From what he wants to see of P. Will. Yes. 1 second now. We all want to see.
Yes, we do. Especially me, because I want to be right. Oh, hang on a minute. Give me 2 seconds because I've just lost the link. And I know, I had it ready the whole time. And now here we go. Ready?
This was your big moment.
It was my big moment, but you talk too much. Right, here we go.
Showing a little bit more bravado. You know what I mean? I'm hoping he get a take this year. He get a take this year. One, I pay it, and two, y'all see how far he done came.
So there we go. The completed evolution for P. Will in Demar's eyes if he gets a tech, and has even offered to pay for it.
Yeah. Basically, he wants to see that aggression.
Exactly.
And that's what I take of it, and that's what we all want to see. There's no denying P. Will. He's got the talent. He's got the size. He's just that mindset with him in it. Mm. And he's commented and said it himself that he's working on it. You know, and I want him to become that guy. Not my guy, just that guy. But I don't know. He's not really shown me enough for me to believe that he can become that guy. And as I've said before, when we spoke about him on a previous episode, if he can just become a solid role player, that's all I'd be happy with. You know, somebody that we can rely on, somebody that we want on the court because he starts rebounding, he can hit the three, he can take the ball past however many players. And look, we started last year by saying that we were going to give him 20 games, or I did anyway, before I was getting off P-Will Island. And I did stay the course with him on P-Will Island. I didn't particularly enjoy it, my time there, but I stayed the course, and I'm still there now because I want him to become that guy. Whether I'll be there at the end of the season, who knows?
Listen, if enough of us will it into existence, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm on P-Will Island, but I've got my tickets booked to get off, an open-ended ticket. I'm gone as soon as I feel like it. So, you know, expectation-wise, you just want him to do it. That's it. You know,
yeah,
he's got so many parts of his game where you just want to see him improve on it. Whether it's his rebounding, his confidence, his aggression, whatever it happens to be. You know, and you just want to see him be consistent with it. That's the thing, because we do see it in dribs and drabs where it's like, oh, there he is, and then it's like, where is he? You know, and you can go through a game and not realize who's actually playing at the four when he's on the court. That's my biggest sort of issue with him. Prediction wise, I don't know. I'll let you go.
Don't let me influence you. You tell me how you really feel.
I'm gonna say C+.
Okay, it's higher than I thought you were going to say.
I just don't see him having that year.
Okay.
I want him to. I just don't see him having it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you know, as it says here, I'm chasing rainbows. So I am going to go very, very positively for a B.
I hope you're right, and
So
I
do
hope
I.
I'm drastically wrong, because, like I said, I do want him to do it, and we need him to do it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've rambled on enough for
Absolutely.
this one. But as mine says, wherever we are, Bulls are back. Nearly. You know, they are back on Sunday. Playing 6 p.m. UK time against your team, Milwaukee Bucks.
My other team.
As for us,
I don't feel so bad saying that now that Grayson Allen is gone, but yeah, no, not really my second.
As for us, 6 p.m. don't really work for us, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
As we discussed in the chat the other day, and I don't want to make public. And also, as for us, we're hoping to be back Thursday with another episode.
Yes.
Hopefully with a guest. If not, it would be just the two of us to give our season award predictions, as we've asked everybody else for so far. So keep an eye out. Yeah, keep an eye out for the tweet. That'll be going out at some point as well.
Absolutely.
And until then, thanks for listening. Don't forget to hit the bell, give us a thumbs up, leave some comments. And as always, I've been Matt, and you can find me on Twitter at MattCRedUK. And you can find us on all the socials at CRedUK.
And you can find me on Twitter at NeillCRedUK. On behalf of us both and the Fans First Sports Network, thanks once again to everyone for tuning in. Whether you're watching or listening, please do subscribe, rate and review, and give us the thumbs up on YouTube. From Matt and myself, remember, it's a Chicago Bulls thing wherever you are in the world. Until next time, see red, people.